What if a man was scratched, burned, and thrown down a staircase by something that left no fingerprints, no footprints, and no trace on any security camera? And it kept happening for 2 years. What if the marks on his body were photographed, examined, and ruled out as self-inflicted by people who had every reason to want a simpler explanation? And what if the little girl everyone blames for it, dead on an operating table, screaming, abandoned by history, has never existed in a single record anyone has ever found? This is the hidden history of the Sallie House. At 508 North 2nd Street in Atchison, Kansas, stands a modest 2-story house built between 1867 and 1871 by the Finney family. Dr. Charles Finney, who lived there, later became one of Atchison's most respected citizens, elected mayor of the town in 1913. The legend attached to his old house tells a different story. It says a mother once brought her 6-year-old daughter to Finney's home in the middle of the night. The girl doubled over with abdominal pain. Finney diagnosed a ruptured appendix and began emergency surgery before the anesthesia had fully taken hold. The girl died on the table, in pain, and her spirit has haunted the house ever since. Her name, everyone agrees, was Sallie. Atchison's newspaper archives from that period contain no record of any child dying under those circumstances. There is no death certificate, no hospital or medical record, no family named in connection with the story beyond the Finneys themselves. And Finney's own career continued to flourish for years afterward, culminating in public office, which would be an unusual trajectory for a doctor whose malpractice killed a child in his own home. By the way, if you've made it this far, you're clearly someone who finds the hidden side of history fascinating. If you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. New episode every week. Now, back to the Sallie House. Here's where the story gets stranger, not simpler. The name Sallie didn't come from a historical record at all. According to multiple accounts of the case, it came from a psychic, consulted sometime around when the haunting first gained public attention in the 1990s, who claimed to sense a young girl's presence and offered the name during an investigation session. From that point forward, the name stuck, repeated by investigators, then by tenants, then by every article and television segment that followed. Nobody has ever traced it back further than that single unverified session. What is documented, independently of the legend, is what happened to Tony and Debra Pickman. The couple moved into the house in 1992 as newlyweds, decorating a nursery for their expected son. For months, the disturbances were minor. Flickering lights, an oven timer switching on by itself, their dog growling at nothing visible in an empty room. Then the activity escalated, and it escalated specifically toward Tony. He reported being scratched, burned, and on at least one occasion pushed down the stairs. Photographs taken during this period, some during filmed investigation sessions with other witnesses present, show marks on his skin that outside analysis described as inconsistent with self-infliction, based on their location, depth, and how quickly they appeared. Police were called to the house at least once when the activity intensified. Officers searched the property and found no intruder, no forced entry, and no explanation. Debra and their son Taylor were largely untouched throughout. The pattern was specific to Tony, which is part of why investigators nicknamed the entity the man-hating ghost, attributing it to Sallie's supposed trauma at the hands of a male doctor. But that explanation requires the Sallie backstory to be true, and there's no historical evidence that it is. Something in that house appears to have targeted one specific person, consistently, for reasons nobody has been able to explain, with or without a name attached to it. The Pickmans left in 1994. Debra later published an account of their experience. The house sat vacant for years afterward, then reopened as a paranormal tourism destination. Investigators now pay for overnight stays, sign liability waivers, and document their own encounters, adding to a record that now spans more than 3 decades of independent, mostly unconnected witnesses, reporting strikingly similar phenomena: cold spots concentrated in the basement, objects moving without explanation, and physical marks appearing on visitors with no apparent cause. This is the part of the Sallie House that separates it from most haunted house legends. The backstory is almost certainly invented, likely assembled sometime after the fact to give an already unsettling house a sympathetic origin, the same instinct that turned an undocumented woman into Chloe at the Myrtles plantation, or wrote a curse into a doll manufactured for a shop window in Germany. People need a story to hang a fear on. But the physical reports at the Sallie House didn't stop once that story was questioned. They kept coming, from people with no connection to each other, no financial stake in maintaining the legend, and in several cases, initial skepticism about the whole thing. What AI cross-referencing of Atchison's historical archives, the Finney family's documented biography, and 3 decades of independent investigator reports has done here isn't confirm a haunting or debunk one. It's separated the two problems that usually get treated as one. Whether Sallie ever existed is a historical question, and the answer appears to be no. Whether something in that house has produced consistent, physical, witnessed effects on real people since at least 1992 is a different question entirely, and it's the one that photographs, police reports, and 30 years of paying visitors haven't managed to close. The house still stands on North 2nd Street. It's still rented out by the night. People still leave with scratches they can't explain. Nobody named Sallie has ever been found in any record of the town. Look around. History is everywhere.